Well, good morning. Lovely to be with you all again, and fantastic day outside. We're in the process of building a new lean-to greenhouse, and I'm finding the difficulty or a new skill in cutting perspex and getting it to fit right. I mean, carpentry's okay, but the perspex is something that's a little bit more difficult. And you definitely need a helper. So I think Jill's going to come and help me this afternoon, maybe, and we'll see how we get on. And so that's great because we've got lots of tomatoes to go in there, ready to go. And Kate's been planting up melon cucumbers, something like that, which are supposed to be very good. Sounds fantastic. Got potatoes up, beans are up. All kinds of stuff's going on. So stuff we've been growing under cloches and in the cold frame is all going out now, so we're starting to look like a proper vegetable garden, which is fantastic. You probably noticed the picture I put up this morning, and I said it's not an octopus, it is actually bracecomb, and that all happened because we started off with one hive of bees last year, and I made a big mistake. So I hope you got a cup of coffee with you there this morning, because I certainly do. Hand ground beans apparently this morning, which can't be bad. But anyway, we feed the bees over the winter to help them to survive the winter, and you put in a small frame with either a bucket of syrup or you can put fondant in, and the bees finished the fondant, and I forgot to take this little frame out. Well, of course, exactly what happened was that they started to fill the space. What you saw on the picture this morning was a result, and absolutely amazing how they're able to, I mean, they're architects, aren't they? They're designers, they're fantastic things. I had a sting last night and I got a fat arm this morning, but I'm sure it'll go. But we do have an awful lot of honey coming, which I'm really pleased about. And I know my friend Ed over at Penley, he's got a single hive too, or maybe he's got two now, and I think he's probably doing pretty good with his bees. So morning, Ed, if you're happening to look in, or Sean. I'm told by my mentor Sarah in the bees that I haven't or won't make any mistake that hasn't been done already or done before. It's learning by virtual teaching and emails and WhatsApp, because normally we go to the apiary where it's hands-on, but it's been hands-on at home, and mostly it's been, oh Sarah, help, you know. So but she's very patient anyway. This week I was really struck by an article on Italy, and it was nurses and doctors out there coming out of COVID, and of course Italy, I think it's the curve is starting to go down, and they say they're feeling forgotten. They were heroes because they were on the front line, and Italy, of course, we know was one of the worst hit and the first hit in Europe. But they say now we're just ordinary people and they're feeling forgotten. And I think there's, from what they're saying, huge problems, mental health problems are going to be with PTSD, because they were living on the edge, they were living with adrenaline, and they were just day after day after day, and they were separated from their families. And all of a sudden there's this vacuum where they were doing it before, and how on earth are they going to get back into ordinary, you can't call it ordinary, normal, it's not normal life. We're thinking about people needing help. One of the girls was said she's got to a stage now where she actually wants to leave the profession. She's been a nurse all her life, it's all she wanted to do. But with the problems that they've experienced over the last few months, she's had enough. And you can understand that. And I'm sure there are a lot of people in many countries around the world, our own included, that are having that same thing. And I was reading in my sort of daily readings how we need to be able to carve out time for ourselves, carve out time either in a little corner in wherever we live, but it's that time alone and time for space and just quiet and thought, especially when we've been in really stressful situations. And there was a Psalm 130 has got these lovely words. I wait for the Lord, my soul waits, and in his word I put my hope. My soul waits for the Lord more than watchmen wait for the morning, more than watchmen wait for the morning. And Psalm 131, just under it, says, my heart is not proud, O Lord, my eyes are not haughty. I do not concern myself with great matters or things too wonderful for me, but I have stilled and quieted my soul. Like a weaned child with its mother, like a weaned child is my soul within me. And that really struck me, that's something that we, people who are living busy lives, it doesn't matter whether you're working or you're retired or you're bringing children up or whatever it is, and you've got jobs and professions. And we think about the hermits and the monasteries and the nunneries, and gosh, you think places of prayer, and they're completely alien to most of us. Probably 99% of us have never been near a monastery or walked in one or met nuns or monks, because they've sort of separated themselves from the world. It's alien to most, and we have busy lives, and they have lives of contemplation and work, of course, and many of them work out in communities as teachers and this, that, and the other, but some of them don't. All of us facing getting back to new normal. I don't know what the right word is, and we need to carve out little places of times of quiet. In my sort of daily readings, which sometimes I get to, and most of the time, and sometimes I don't. The readings from May are based on a book called Gift from the Sea by Anne Morrow Lindbergh, and she's writing from a woman's perspective, and obviously a working wife and mother. And I thought I'd just share these words with you this morning, because I think it'll probably hit a few buttons. She says, certain environments, certain modes of life, certain rules of conduct are more conducive to inner and outer harmony than others. There are, in fact, certain roads that one may follow. Simplification of life is one of them. I mean to follow a simple life, but I do not. I find that my form of life does not foster simplicity. The life I've chosen as wife and mother entertains or entrains a whole caravan of complications. It involves food and shelter, meals, planning, marketing, bills, and making ends meet in 1,000 ways. It involves friends, my husband's, my children's, my own, and endless arrangements to get together, letters, invitations, telephone calls, transportation hither and yon. What a circus act we women perform every day of our lives. It puts the trapeze artist to shame. I mean, look at us. This is not the life of simplicity, but the life of multiplicity that the wise warn us of. It leads not to unification, but to fragmentation. Distraction is, always has been, and probably always will be, inherent in women's lives. We must be open to all points of the compass: husband, children, friends, home, community, stretched out, exposed like a spider's web to each breeze that blows, to each call that comes. How difficult for us then to achieve a balance in the midst of these contradictory tensions, and yet how necessary for the proper functioning of our lives. How much we need, and how arduous the attainment is that steadiness preached in all the rules of holy living. How desirable, distant is the ideal of the contemplative, the artist, the saint, the inviolable core, the single eye. With new awareness, both painful and humorous, I begin to understand why the saints are rarely married women. I am convinced it has nothing inherently to do, as I once supposed, with chastity or children. It has primarily to do with distractions, the bearing, rearing, feeding, educating of children, the running of the house with its 1,000 details, human relationships with their myriad pulls. Woman's normal occupations in general run counter to creative life or contemplative life or saintly life. Women instinctively want to give, yet resents giving herself in small pieces. I believe that what she resents is not so much giving herself in pieces as giving herself purposefully, or purposelessly rather. But what we fear is not so much our energy may be leaking away through small outlets, that it might be going down the drain. Purposeful giving is not as apt to deplete one's resources. It belongs to that natural order of giving that seems to renew itself even in the act of depletion. The more one gives, the more one has to give, like milk in the breast. Isn't that lovely? But I think maybe sums up the kind of lives that many of you are leading, most of us are leading. So let's just end with a prayer, thinking of people who've been under terrific stress these last few weeks and months. And I know I've talked about mental health before, and it's so important, and it's something that I never really considered until fairly recently, really. But there it is, and it's important, and it's something we need to care for and care about, and where we can reach out and touch people's lives to help them and to encourage them and to be there for them, I think is really important. Blessed are those who hunger for earth's wonders, for they will be satisfied. All things come from you, O God, and to you we return. All things emerge in your great river of life, and into you we vanish again. At the beginning of this day we wake not as separate streams, but as countless currents in a single flow. The flow of this day's dawning, the flow of this day's delight, the flow of this day's sorrows. Your flow, O God, in the twistings and turnings of this new day. So sing to God a new song, sing to God all the earth, Psalm 96. And Jesus says, in everything do to others as you'd have them do to you. And the Quran says, whoever saves a human life shall be regarded as though they had saved all humankind. So all things are born of you, O God. We carry within us your light, your life. In the mystery of matter and deep in the cells of our souls are your longings for oneness. The oneness of the universe, vast and vibrating with the sound of its beginning. The oneness of the earth, greening and teeming as a single body. The oneness of the human soul, a sacred countenance in infinite form. So grant us your longings for oneness, O God, amidst life's glorious multiplicities. So we do remember those people, men and women around our world, in our own country, and Italy especially, and those men and women who have opened up their lives to share their feelings and their fears and their worries and in their jobs. We ask your blessing upon them, Lord, and your healing to be upon them. So blessings on the day born of night, blessings on the earth wedded to heaven, blessings on the creatures adored by angels, blessings on our bodies alive with spirit, blessings on our minds filled with dreams, and blessing on our hearts opened by love. We ask for blessings and more blessings. It's been great to be with you. Enjoy your coffee, have a great day. I'm going to be getting out the old nails and the drills in a little while, carry on with the greenhouse, and we'll see you on Sunday. And I think it's Pentecost, so I'm really looking forward to that. Bye now.